title. It's a big title for a pretty big theme, and I guess that in part it's an acknowledgement of the fact that the industry this year in Australia has had its share of turmoil. We've certainly seen companies disappear, companies that have been established at making games for a long time, literally fall off the face of the planet. And we've seen other studios who have struggled. And I figured that GCAP was a good time, a good opportunity to reflect on that, to talk a little bit about the past, but mostly, I guess, to summarise the lessons that we've learned and to think about what the future holds, to think about how we can do things better in 2010. And I'm delighted to be joined by three great guys and three very experienced leaders within the Australian industry. I'll introduce them to you now. Sitting to my right here is Rob Murray. Rob's the founder and the CEO of Halfbrick. Founder and CEO, of course, Firemint. Hopefully many of you saw Rob's presentation this morning. I was surprised to learn that Firemint's been around 10 years. One of the better established companies in the Australian industry. They specialise obviously in mobile handheld. There are around 40 people working in their Richmond studio here in Melbourne. They've made 30 games there or thereabouts. Worked with some really big brands, including John Madden Football, The Sims. They've done some really interesting, innovative, original mobile titles like Dark and Mega Monster. And of course this year they've become famous for two iPhone games, Flight Control and Real Racing. Next to Rob is Kevin Chan, who runs Blue Tongue here at Melbourne. Kevin's a replacement. You'll notice Ross Simons from Big Ant was on the program originally. Ross has gone to the Leon game show here with us today. I'm grateful for Kevin stepping in. Blue Tongue now have 92 employees working in their studio in Melbourne. They're of course owned by THQ. They were founded initially as an independent company, were acquired by THQ a number of years ago. Back in their independent days, they made a Jurassic Park game, which I guess really put them on the map, which was a big success for them. More recently, Nicktoons, and of course, The Blob, which we're proud of as one of the most successful, highest quality Australian developed games in recent years. And finally, Shainiel from Halfbrick in Brisbane. Halfbrick was established in 2001. They're 35 employees. They focus on handheld titles and also games in the digital distribution space. Their recent releases are Avatar into the Inferno on DS, and a whole number of titles that they've brought out in this digital space this year, including Blast Off, Echoes, Rocket Racing, and Rascals. So I'm sure you will agree, three people eminently qualified to talk about the state of the Australian game industry. And I'll say to all of you what I've said to these guys, which is that I want to keep this session pretty casual, pretty spontaneous. I'm going to fire a bunch of questions at these guys individually and try to elicit some juicy responses from them. And I'll encourage anybody in the audience at any time to put your hand up, and I'll pick a moment to find you. We won't worry about passing the microphone around. I'll just ask you to call out your question and say also who you'd like to ask the question. So let's launch into it, and I want to start, I guess, by asking you, Rob, about the success that Firemint has had in the digital distribution space. And I suspect that digital distribution might be a theme that we come back to more than once during this panel. I just want to ask you, if you can take yourself back to the moment when you decided it was a good idea, why you thought you needed to do it, and how, I guess, or what advice would you give for those that are on the cusp of a similar decision right now?
You mean the decision to go into publishing?
Yeah.
It was something that I always had the ambition for as a company. We did. I think most work for companies are like that anyway. But they always wanted to do it. published it or done something else with it, which is what a lot of work behind studios get to that stage. But given the growth of iPhone and seeing how well it was doing and seeing the response we were getting and the views we were getting on YouTube, just how a promo video sort of tipped it over the edge for it. Let's just see if we can take this out, all the way ourselves.
So you could have sold that to the publisher.
Yeah, when I say sold it, we could have pitched it. It still would have been our game, it would have been original, but a publisher would have published it.
Pretty gutsy calls to do it yourself rather than to take the surefire money at least go in. It's a small amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And we wanted to do something really big, and the publisher was ready to pay for it. So it was interesting. We ended up
just wasn't enough money.
Wasn't enough money. Yeah. And we ended up paying a small fortune for it. Really, a lot more than even then I was thinking. And I might be wanting $600,000 or something to take it, but I wanted $1 million by the end of sort of what I'd spend. So yeah, it was kind of fortunate that I wanted to do something big and publish something.
So do you think we're in the midst in the game industry, this is not just Australia but all around the world, are we in the middle of a real structural change? Are we looking at a shift quickly, rapidly away from traditional box products into this new space? You guys,
I don't mind that first.
I don't know. Well, I guess I can't speak with authority, but from my gut feeling, I guess I feel it is moving that way. I mean, you look at the big publishers, even Sony with the way the PSP going, they certainly see that as a way for the future. And looking at the way retail and piracy and secondhand games, all those issues, I think digital distribution helps solve a lot of those problems. And I think the way people used to being more online and just getting immediacy, I think it also kind of satisfies that immediate response. And I mean, any model of shopping, even people switching over to buying stuff off Amazon took quite a while before, it kind of took off. I think it will still probably take a little bit longer for some of the bigger box products to completely replace it, but certainly I think it's getting there. Things like Steam are really taking off as well.
I was just going to say, it seems to come in fits and starts. It seems like right now, a big publisher like EA really making big statements about digital, so it sort of makes everyone kind of, hey, we have to get on this, and everyone gets on it, and then the market's not, maybe it's not quite there yet. So it might be a few little fits and starts, but right now it feels like it's either ramping up like that, and this is a structural change, or at least everyone thinks it is, and so it's possibly going to make its way up there eventually.
Tell us about your business model at Halfbrick, because I know that you guys have invested pretty heavily in this space. Did you have a moment of realisation, where you felt, all right, this is the way of the world, we've got to get involved?
Yeah, I think about, it's been 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, see the writing on the wall that, doing work for hire stuff is sort of like being on a treadmill. I've heard people say that before. You get on there and you want to get off at some point and do your own thing, but you just keep on taking on more work and just standing on the spot. So I thought that we needed to sort of take some drastic action, sort of force ourselves to sort of explore these other avenues that were sort of appearing at that time. So we really sort of carved out a little group whose job was to sort of explore that space and get stuck into it. So
you actually compartmentalised your company. Did you say, right, you guys in that room, you're going to concentrate on this?
Well, yes and no. We tried that approach, but it's very hard to maintain that little group. You've always got deadlines and pressures that cause you to sort of grab a guy off that group and say, hey, we need to do this. So we tried a different approach where